Hey everyone, and welcome back to the PTG Rail Routes Learning series. On today's video, I'm actually going to be doing my annual Pacer video, as the Pacer unit actually proves quite popular on my channel when I make a video on it, which is actually quite surprising because Pacers are probably loved and hated in almost equal measure by rail enthusiasts. And so I'm going to be driving this Class 142 Pacer along the West Coast Main Line over Shap route between Preston and Morcambe, which is a distance of around 25 miles. The scenario that I'm using comes from Armstrong Powerhouse Scenario Pack 35, following the timetable of train 2 Charlie 73, which is the 11:05 AM service from Preston through to Morecambe, calling at Lancaster and Bare Lane along the way. As already mentioned, the train that I'm driving today is a Class 142 Pacer, which has been in service since 1985 and was manufactured by British Rail Engineering Limited at Derby Litchurch Lane Works and also by Leyland Bus. They were constructed between 1985 and 1987, with refurbishment happening between 1997 and 2003, and again in 2008. A total of 96 of these units were built, with 94 currently in service. They are formed of 2 coaches per train set, and they have a maximum speed of 75 miles per hour, with a power output of 225 horsepower per unit. Each unit weighs around 47.5 tons, and each unit's length is around 51 feet per coach, giving a total length of 102 feet. Now in the cab of the Class 142, I'm just going to quickly set up the unit ready for departure. So the first thing I'm going to do is to insert the master key by pressing E on the keyboard. And now that I've done that, I'm going to move the reversing handle into the neutral position and reset the AWS self-test sequence. The next thing I'm going to do is to turn on the headlights all of the way to the day setting, so you can see the headlight control in front of us here. If I just keep my finger on the H key, that just moves it around to the day setting, though when you actually look at the unit on the outside, it looks like that the headlights are set to the nighttime setting for some reason, so I think the headlights aren't quite set up correctly on this model. Now that I've done that, I'm going to press I to turn on the instrument lights. Now let's just have a quick look at the controls here. So in front of us we've got a standard West Code 3-step brake. So if I just move to the release position there, we've then got step 1, step 2, step 3, which is full service, and then finally a 4th step, which is the emergency position, which you wouldn't normally use. And I'm going to try and not go above step 2 braking on this journey today. Now if I move around the cab here, in front of us we've got the brake gauges on the left hand side, and the right hand needle there is in fact the brake cylinder pressure gauge. So if I just reduce the braking a bit, you see that needle falling there, and when that needle is pointing to 0, that means the brakes are fully released. And of course the higher the needle is pointing, then the harder the brakes are applied. Just to the right of that, we've got the speedometer measured in miles per hour, and as already mentioned, the maximum speed of this unit is 75 miles per hour. Just below that, we've got the horn control, which is a 2-tone horn, controllable with the spacebar and the B keys. Now continuing around the cab here, we've now got the throttle control in front of us, which is a 7-step throttle controller. And so generally to start this train moving, I'm going to go up to notch 3. And then as the train starts pulling away, I'll then start increasing the power gradually up to full power, which is notch 7. Now the next thing I'm going to do here is to open the windows on both sides of the unit, just because I think that the train sounds better, and it's nice to also hear the sound of the air rushing past. Now if we look up here, we've actually got the destination display controller, and so on this unit what I need to do is I need to click on clear there. Now I need to type in 162, which is the code for Morecambe. Just click on 162 there, press enter. Now you can see that Morecambe has come up on the destination display, which will also be showing on the outside of the unit. So now that we've had a look around the cab, I'm just going to quickly jump to the rear of the train to turn on the tail lights. So just jump there by pressing Ctrl and plus on the keyboard. Now you can see here I've just got to move the headlight controller 1 notch so that it's in the tail light position. So now we've got the red lights on the rear of the train. So now that we've set up the unit ready for departure, let's just take another quick look outside, and then we can depart and head out towards Morecambe. Departing away from Preston, the starting speed limit is 35 miles per hour, though very quickly going down to 25 miles per hour. And at this point, we've got around 21 miles to go to our first stop, which is Lancaster. So you may have noticed there we did depart on cautionary signals, and also I turned off the driver reminder appliance just before we departed away, as I had left that on as we did previously have a red signal. Now that we've reached 25 miles per hour, I've just shut off the power to allow the train to coast until I'm able to accelerate further in a moment. You may also notice here that on the West Coast Main Line over Shap route, I've actually got a track upgrade installed, which I think significantly improves the overall look of the route. And you can get that on Facebook from a group called UK Routes Track Upgrades, a link to which I will leave in the description of this video. So now we've crossed the junction there, the speed limit is now going up to 35 miles per hour. And then very quickly after that it's going up to 80 miles per hour at this speed post just here. Of course the maximum speed on this unit is 75 miles per hour, so I won't be able to exceed 75 on this journey. Between here and Lancaster there are now no speed changes until literally just before Lancaster station, so we've now got a very clear run and we're able to get up to full speed quite quickly. I will say, if you've ever travelled on a pacer in real life, with only 4 wheels per coach instead of the usual 8 and no bogies, it actually makes for a very rough ride, and when you're doing 75 miles per hour in a pacer in real life, it's actually quite an interesting and very bouncy experience. The line speed here has now gone up to 110 miles per hour. On the right hand side you can see we've got a third track there for a moment, which is actually Oxhays up Goods Loop. You may have noticed there at the speed post there was a second speed post below the main one which said EPS on it, which stands for Enhanced Permitted Speed, and that's for tilting trains such as Class 390 Pendolinos or Class 221 Super Voyagers, which authorises them to go up to a maximum permitted speed of 125 miles per hour versus a maximum permitted speed of 110 miles per hour for conventional trains. So we're now passing Barton and Broughton down Goods Loop, With 17.25 miles to go through to Lancaster, I'm just going to move the power handle back now to notch 6, and if I leave it in notch 6 then it should actually maintain our speed at around 74.5 miles per hour, and I shouldn't need to touch the power handle or the brake pretty much all of the way to Lancaster. For upcoming videos, I'm actually hoping to get a very short video done soon, which is the journey between Cardiff, Queen Street and Cardiff Bay in a Class 121 bubble car diesel multiple unit. They're actually no longer used on that route today, but they certainly were for a very long time, up until very recently. Just thought that would make a nice change. I'm also hoping to cover the San Jose to San Francisco route, though I do understand that there is an extension to Gilroy now being made, so I may hold off until the extension has been released so that I can actually cover the full run between the two places. I'm also still looking to try and do a full run of the Great Eastern Main Line between London Liverpool Street and Norwich on a freeware extension which extends the route from Ipswich through to Norwich. In addition to that, I'm hoping to do a journey on the Wherry lines in Class 68. I had originally planned that for a Class 150 until the North Wales Coast route was released. And because I recently did a video in the Class 150 on the North Wales Coast route, I'd now like to cover the Wherry lines, a journey that I haven't yet done on the Wherry lines, in the Class 68 instead. In addition to that, I'm hoping to cover the new train sim world route, based in Germany in Leipzig, which I think will be quite interesting, and that's of course coming out this week. So I'm hoping to try and cover a journey on that by the end of this week, if at all possible. Just past the whistle board there for Brock Level Crossing, with 13.75 miles to go to Lancaster. Just past Garstang neutral section. At the footbridge just coming up now, we've got just over 9 miles to go. We're now crossing Wire Viaduct. We're now passing Bay Horse crossovers with just under 6 miles to go through to Lancaster. We're now crossing Galgate Viaduct with just over 4 miles to go. We're now coming up on Ubeck goods loops. Coming up just ahead, you can see a flashing double yellow diverging route aspect signal, and so at this point we've got 2.5 miles to go to Lancaster. In a moment there will be a warning for an upcoming 75 mph speed limit. So just coming up on that warning now, and at this point I'm going to idle the power to allow the train to coast. Just around the area of the next signal here, we're going to be going downhill at 1 in 100. At this signal we've got 1.5 miles to go to the following signal, and as we approach the 75 mph speed post we've got 3/4 mile to go to that signal and 1 mile to go to an upcoming 40 mph speed limit. We're now entering the 75 mph speed zone with 1 mile to go to the upcoming 40 mph speed limit. I'm going to apply the brakes after this left-hand curve here, which is actually quite a long and sharp curve. So I've now got the brakes on to slow us down to 40. Our speed is coming off quite nicely here, and so as we pass this signal we've got around 1/4 mile to go to the upcoming 40 mph speed limit. So I've now released the brakes just momentarily. We are coming up on the platform here at Lancaster. Now going to reapply the brakes again. Here at Lancaster I couldn't actually see a clear stopping point, so I'm just going to aim to stop before an overbridge which is at the, well, halfway along the platform roughly. You can see we're just coming up on the overbridge here. I'm currently in a step 1 brake application. And so if I stop here, I'm hoping that this should be roughly the correct place to stop, but as I said, it is a guess as there are no clear stop markers on this route. Departing away from Lancaster, the starting speed limit is 40 mph, and we've got just over 2.5 miles to go to our next stop, which is Bare Lane. So we do here have a diverging route aspect flashing double yellow, which is an indicator that we will actually be turning off the West Coast Main Line and onto the Morecambe branch. Now coming up on Loon Viaduct, and the speed limit here has now gone up. So we are cleared up towards 75 mph once again. Coming up in a moment will be the diverging route aspect flashing single yellow signal, which is 3/4 of a mile from the next signal and 1 mile from an upcoming 25 mph speed limit at the junction where we turn off the West Coast Main Line onto the Morecambe branch. So now we're doing around 55 mph. I'm just going to shut off the power and allow the train to coast. I'm going to apply the brakes for the upcoming 25 mph speed limit as we approach the next signal. So I've currently got the brakes on to bring our speed down. This signal is 1/4 of a mile from the upcoming 25 mph speed limit, so a step 1 brake application is bringing our speed down quite nicely, though I will increase the braking if required as we get closer to the junction. In fact, I think that we do need just a little bit more braking here. So our speed is now down to 30 mph, and now let's just apply a bit more braking, bring us down to 25 in time. So we're now down to 25 mph, and I'm just going to allow the train to coast here. We're now turning onto Morecambe South Curve. I just applied the brakes for a moment there as I thought that the signal to our right was actually a red aspect for this line when I just realised actually it isn't. So we are clear. And now the speed limit's just gone up to 45 mph, around 1/3 of a mile from our upcoming stop. So I'm just going to bring our speed up to around 30 and then I'm going to shut off the power to allow the train to coast. So I've now powered off and you can see the platform coming up just here. Here at Bare Lane, I'm aiming to stop at the end of the platform. I just applied the brakes just as we were approaching this closed part of the platform. As you can see, it's very overgrown at this end, and then just beyond that, the actual open part of the platform is here. And I braked to bring our speed right down entering the platform, as I found it's quite easy, should I say, to overshoot. Just because of how short the platform actually is. Unfortunately, we've now got the rather annoying level crossing sound, which doesn't seem to shut off in Train Simulator like it does in reality when the gates are down. And we should now be stopped in just about the right place. Departing away from Bare Lane, the starting speed limit is 45 mph, and we've got just under 1.5 miles to go to our next and final stop, which is Morecambe. Glad that we quickly got away from that annoying level crossing sound, and so we've now got the lovely sound of the engine of this train. As we reach 45 miles per hour, I'm then going to shut off the power now to allow the train to coast. And we're now passing a fixed distance signal board with just over half a mile to go to an upcoming 30 mile per hour speed limit and 2/3 of a mile to go to an upcoming 15 mile per hour speed limit. At the overbridge just coming up, we've then got 1/4 of a mile to go to the upcoming 30 limit. I'm going to apply the brakes for that as we approach the next right-hand curve. Now just applying the brakes to bring our speed down in time for the upcoming 30 mile per hour speed restriction. The AWS warning we had there is actually for the opposite direction, which is why you just saw the blue sign with the white cross in it. The speed limit is dropping further to 15 miles per hour just around the area of this next overbridge. So now just applying the brakes once again to ensure that I'm down to 15 in time. It's actually quite difficult on this unit to just get step 1 braking. In fact, I seem to find it very easy to go up to step 2 unintentionally. So the 15 mile per hour speed restriction is now in force. You can see the platform at Morecambe station just coming up, and as we get towards the platform I'm going to slow to 10 miles per hour so that we enter the platform at no faster than 10, which I believe is the rule in the UK for approaching platforms with buffer stops at the end. Plus, as you can also see, those buffers are actually pretty close to here. So I'm now down to 10 miles per hour. I'm just going to gradually bring our speed down as we get closer to the buffer stops, and then stop just around when the red lights disappear. And so the red lights have just disappeared there, and we should now be stopping in just about the right place. Thank you very much for watching this video. I really do hope that you did enjoy it. If you did, then please don't forget to like and subscribe. And also for the latest channel updates, you can find me on Facebook, with the link to my Facebook page being in the description of this video. And if you'd like to sponsor this channel on Patreon, then please visit my Patreon page for more information. Again, the link for that is in the description of this video. Once again, thank you for watching.